Hello YouTube, and welcome to the next installment of Answering Anti-Islam, Islam and Yellow Journalism. While surfing the enigma of free speech that is the internet, I came across another one of those videos making claims about both Islam and the US government that make very little sense when you do the actual research. In previous videos unrelated to Islam, I've discussed things like ignorance of the audience and how it's used by those who make outlandish claims. To back up their claims, they will also use false dilemmas. Such is the case with this video I found on YouTube created by a channel called Breaking News 24/7. I will provide the link for you in the description. Thankfully, there was a transcript written, otherwise you'd have to sit through a monotone computer narration. I have to say, those just make the best YouTube videos. We have included the transcript of the video in our own transcript of this episode. Yeah, if you're following along in the transcript, I'm scrolling down too. Okay. The basic claims made are these. Minnesota passed anti-blasphemy laws and now has a telephone number Muslims can call for that specific purpose. Say that someone committed blasphemy. They also claim Senate Resolution 118 is a blasphemy law. Other than that, the rest is just really ad hominem attacks. Following a few moments of research, this reminded me of the quote, Muslims banned by US law claim. Basically, they simply cited a law that would deny anyone entry to the United States who proved to be a threat to her government. So yes, Muslims would be banned, but so would others. The telephone number opened was actually one for hate crimes, not blasphemy. So let's look at the definition of a hate crime. Quote, a crime motivated by racial, sexual, or other prejudice, typically one involving violence. After hate, it is indeed still a crime. Let's use the example of free speech. In the United States, 99% of speech is protected by the First Amendment, and not covered is threatening speech. But simple things like disagreeing or expressing grievances, founded or unfounded, are considered free speech. Using racial slurs is also free speech, unless attached to a crime, for example, a personal threat, illustrating that hate crime cannot be sentenced without meeting actual criminal requirements. Here's a quote from the transcript. The rabid liberal mayor has gone over the top in her efforts to help Muslims achieve domination in her city, where she recently installed an anti-blasphemy hotline so Muslim refugees could call in and report any American who harassed or spoke out against Islam. So, the author of this particular argument for this claim has completely mischaracterized events. The author is also really confident you won't do the research. Here's a quote from the city about the hotline. Through its 311 service, the city of Minneapolis has opened a new hotline for reporting hate crimes, which are harassing behaviors motivated by prejudice. I'll put my source in the description. Harassing behaviors motivated by prejudice pretty much says all you need to know. Just as it would be against separation of church and state to make Christianity the official religion of the United States, so it is with enforcing blasphemy laws. Committing blasphemy in any religion in the United States is an exercise of free speech, unless it involves criminality like threats and harassment. Using separation of church and state, the following claim and/or insinuation that Senate Resolution 118 is a blasphemy law would of course have the same problems. Here's a transcript quote from the video. Several weeks ago, we exposed how treacherous anti-American moron Marco Rubio was working with Al-Qaeda terrorists, there you go, through the Muslim organization Emerge USA, to get a bill passed through the Senate that would make speaking out against Islam a hate crime. That astonishingly passed the Senate back in April. Okay, so there's a summary of the resolution that I'm just gonna kind of cherry pick from. The resolution, not law, resolution, encourages the Department of Justice and other federal agencies to work to improve the reporting of hate crimes. Blah, blah, blah. It also calls on the executive branch to continue to offer federal assistance that may be available for victims of hate crimes, to carry out safety and preparedness programs for religious institutions, places of worship, blah, blah, blah. I don't see anything about this being a law or being against blasphemy. Of course, this is a resolution which is not actual law. It cannot be enforced. This is a classic example of a false dilemma. Sure, hate crime laws make speaking out against anything specific like ethnicity, race, religion a crime if it is harassing or threatening, which, by the way, is already against the First Amendment because it doesn't protect your right to threaten specific individuals. So I could say that I hate all red-haired men, but I can't say I hate all red-haired men, and therefore I am going to kill that specific red-haired man over there. Other examples of yellow journalism frequently involve the claiming of a business bowing to Sharia. There are some claims specifically from Alan West that were similar, but unfortunately he's taken them off his website. He once claimed KFC was bowing to Sharia by not issuing alcohol wipes, as though alcohol isn't only forbidden to drink in certain interpretations of Islam. He doesn't really think they don't use alcohol swabs in Saudi Arabia, does he? Yeah. Here's another video I found relating to this subject. Unfortunately, this material sans Brigitte Gabrielle is much more boring. To again save you from boring computer narration, the transcript of this episode will contain the self-written transcript on YouTube. Here are some of the claims directly from the transcript. Mufti Muhammad Arshad contacted McDonald's Kentucky Fried Chicken and Pizza Hut to request that they use halal meat in some of their outlets. He said it would not only be good for Hong Kong's Muslims, but also a shrewd business move, obviously. It's disappointing that we could not convince the companies, Arshad said. It doesn't have to be Hong Kong-wide. In the main areas like Central, Wan Chai, Tsim Sha Tsui, the new territories, and at the airport, it would be a great service. The companies have to realize there is a need for this and that there is good business for them. Wow, can you just see how outraged the entire Islamic community is about this? That one mufti was disappointed. Does that equal Muslim outrage? I venture to say not. Observing comments is also illustrative of the audience's ignorance of anything about Islam, or just common sense, really. One commenter writes, "Why force people to make halal food, dude?" I don't know if that was like intentional and somebody's a poet and he doesn't know it, maybe. If something not halal, it actually says this. If something not halal, that's your problem. Go find halal restaurants. I guess he learned English from two wild and crazy guys.
I'm Jortok Festrunk, and this is my brother Jorge. We're two unique guys from Czechoslovakia who ran from the Russian tanks to America because it's such a swinging and together place.
We purchased our hats when we came.
Well, the obvious answer is, if the area has a large enough Muslim population, profit. Sometimes the far right forgets everybody's money is green. Most presidents have hosted Muslims during the holy month of Ramadan when the fast is broken after sundown. Of course, they were provided with halal meats. Does this mean Sharia law is being implemented? Well, no, it doesn't. It means it's being practiced by Muslims already. In the 90s, when I was a kid and the alt-right wasn't a thing, there was, and may still be, an idea called ZOG, or Zion Occupied Government, or Zionist Occupied Government, take your pick. These people claimed that because kosher meat was available or becoming more available, that proved that Zionists were influential in making laws. Thus enters the phenomenon I've seen over the past few years of the arguments about Jewish people being applied to Muslims. When you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Set up your arguments with whatever group is unpopular at the time and everyone will agree. Also, when you use the same arguments, the others may be forced into place by lack of logic. Instead of kosher being cruel, now halal meat is, even though it's about 85% the same as the kosher process. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. So, in case you were wondering, now you know where these wacky claims are coming from. Similarly wacky people. Stay tuned for the next Minisode 3.5, Ignorance of the Audience.